So today we are with Patrick Yip. He is a cancer survivor from Hong Kong. He is going to tell us a little bit about him. Hi, Patrick. Well, I'm going to ask you the first question. Who are you? What is your favorite food? And what are you passionate about right now?
I'm Patrick. I am from Hong Kong. I had osteosarcoma when I was about 10 to 11 years old. Right now, I am at the age of 33. Thank God, like 20 plus years has passed. Right now, I am actually a full-time HR consultant working in a multinational consulting firm. So I volunteer for Child Cancer International, focusing on advocacy as well as enhancing the quality of life for other survivors with child cancer. That is something that I'm passionate about. And on a personal level, I love music. I can play the piano. I love sports. I can play tennis, badminton, and table tennis. And yeah, that's who I am. I love eating. I love snacks in particular. So anything like chips, chocolate, especially like dark chocolate and white chocolate. Yeah, that's my favorite. And for the other kind of like Asian food in particular, definitely sushi would be my favorite. Yeah.
How was to have cancer in Hong Kong?
It's quite a fortunate place to get the treatment of child cancer in Hong Kong, especially, I mean, for children with cancer. If we are Hong Kong citizen, we do not need to pay anything for the cancer treatment unless you need to have some like special prosthesis or some like special drug that is not within the standard regimen or the standard protocol that is being used for other patients. Since 2019, we have had our first and the only children's hospital in Hong Kong. Basically, that is the central place to host all the child cancer patients in Hong Kong. So it provides the patient with the highest level of kind of like treatment, medical care, and all the support that they would need. And since the hospital is new, you can imagine that the facilities is amazing. The quality of the facilities, of course, is very good. Yeah, but speaking on the psychosocial side, I would say that Hong Kong wouldn't be at the highest level in that regard.
Do you have follow-up as a childhood cancer patient in Hong Kong?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Thanks for asking that. Yes, for those who are treated under the government hospital, you are entitled to a lifelong follow-up kind of like program. So what we call the surveillance program. Even though I'm now at the age of 33, when I got back to the hospital for follow-up, basically I would be taken care of by the pediatric oncologist, not the adult, not from the adult side. So I think that is the luxury that we have in Hong Kong. But of course, for anything related to the long-term effect or there's certain things that the pediatric oncologist cannot do. For example, their responsibility to help you track the risk level that you might have from a long-term effects or late effects perspective. So basically, the pediatric oncologist is the one to give you the first layer of check, and then after that, you will be transferred to the adult clinic for subsequent kind of like follow-up. So that is the current state of the Hong Kong kind of like medical system.
I know this answer, but I know that you know many cancer survivors and cancer patients, but how can you describe them in one word?
It's a tricky one. I think survivors is a universal term in English. I think to me, survivors itself, the term itself is okay, it's quite accurate, but I am not a big fan of the idea of fighting against cancer. We didn't really have a choice to basically say, hey, do we want to fight this battle or not? Especially in my case, I was a child. Basically, everything was decided by my parents and my doctors, of course. So I would say that survivor is an accurate term to describe our experience, but I wouldn't amplify it to the extent that, okay, we are a hero to fight against or to win the battle against cancer. It's just that it's part of our identity. In some way, it defines us, but I would say this is only part of our journey to become or to let us become who we are. Maybe let's put it other way. The cancer history does give me a solid background of who I am nowadays. It gave me a lot of insight. It has given me a lot of courage to take challenges that I thought I might not be able to do. But I wouldn't let my cancer history define who I am. I would rather position it as, or I would rather label it as a part of my life that has inspired me to become who I am and to become a better person with the vision to help enhancing the other's kind of like life quality.
I agree with you. Actually, here in Europe, we're trying to use people with and beyond cancer because survivors doesn't represent us in a way. But yeah, I completely agree with you. And also, I was wondering because you said that survivor is no in English, but how do you say it in Cantonese or in Mandarin?
Comforter is the literal translation of those who have survived cancer or those who have finished the treatment and without any relapse happening. So basically, that is the Mandarin term. And in Cantonese, which is my first language, Hong Fok Zhe. But this term would not be widely used in our community. That is the technical term to describe survivors of childhood cancer in the NGO. But most of the time in the NGO, they wouldn't call their service target as survivor or as harmful thing. They would rather call them youth or adolescent. The reason why I believe they wouldn't want to let the youth or let the service target relate back to the cancer history so easily. And I think that is still the situation in Hong Kong, or I would say in the Chinese community, for those who had child cancer. Most of the time, they wouldn't want to disclose their history to anybody else, even to their boss. They wouldn't want to. Yeah, because they would be afraid of having discrimination or having the possibility of being discriminated at workspace.
Side effects from the treatment or having cancer that actually you liked, or some superpowers that the treatment or this experience gave you?
Personally, I think I have been a lot more mature than if I didn't have cancer. The superpower comes from the fact that I can take things more easily in a way that I can respect the nuances of different individuals. Coming in as a person who had quite a difficult time in the past, I learned that you have to be respectful to others in order to be able to become a better person in a way that you have to embrace the challenges, embrace different kind of like people's background, personalities, approaches to do things in order for you to have a holistic view of how you can best live your life. Then the other thing is that I think the superpower comes in from an angle that we do need to think about how we can empower the others, how we can inspire the others to have a better life.
Like, which word describe you that is not related to your cancer experience? That you think that without cancer you will have it, or you will be like this.
I used to be dreaming of becoming a professional athlete. I would say that that is still part of my life, although I may not be able to receive regular vigorous training or professional training. If there's only one word that I can use to describe who I am, I would say that I'm just a grown kid.
Thank you, Patrick, for this interview.
Thanks so much, Carmen, for having me. And it's been a lovely experience. And one thing that resonates me a lot is that cancer is just part of our story and we won't let it define ourselves. For those who are watching this video, if you are a cancer patient or if you are a cancer survivor, just recognize the fact that yes, we have been walking through a huge challenge. But if we are lucky enough, if we are able to get through all this, basically your life is at your own stake, which means that you do have the ability to redefine your life, redefine yourself. Just don't let cancer restrict what you can do. To a certain extent, yes, physically it could be the case, but mentally it shouldn't be the case.